Jason Moore, the head debate and forensics coach here at Lawrence Free State High School. I'd like to thank you very much for helping us. The purpose of this video is to give you a broad overview of what to expect as a judge. We will discuss each event briefly, and we'll give you some suggestions and help ensure that you know how to fill out a ballot properly. In addition, we'll give you some insight on how to add some comments to make sure that each student has a positive and educational experience.
Here is an example of a ballot. This ballot is for the event of original oration. Each student performing in your room will bring you a ballot. It should already have the round, room, name, code, and title selection filled out. Make sure that they have this information filled out and that they are in the correct room. The ballot itself should contain things to look out for, such as characterization, being well prepared, or vocal ability. Make sure while writing in the improvements and strengths columns, you keep these things in mind. How should you decide the rankings? Only after you've seen all the performances scheduled in the round and evaluated their skills should you rank the students. Rank each performance with 1 being the best and whatever the highest number happens to be being the worst. This ballot goes to 10, but if there aren't 10 people in the room, just go up to the number of people in the room. Quality ratings, however, can repeat, meaning that multiple students can get a 25, but a student that receives a better ranking cannot receive a lower quality rating than a kid with a lower rank. So for example, the student you ranked 6th cannot get a 20 if the student you ranked 5th gets a 19. It must be in numerical order.
Interpretation events include humorous interpretation, or HI, and dramatic interpretation, or DI. Both are solo acting events in which the competitor prepares a 8 to 10 minute memorized play or script. For HI, they are attempting to make you laugh, and for DI, they are attempting to evoke, well, more dramatic emotions. In these interp events, the competitor is not allowed to use props such as hair or clothing. You can expect to see the forensicator pop between characters or pantomiming based on their piece. Duo and duet interpretation are the only events other than public forum debate that is allowed to have 2 people compete at once. The competitors team up to deliver a 10-minute performance without the use of props. In duet, those competitors are allowed to have a table and 2 chairs. In duo, however, the performers are not allowed to look at each other or touch each other.
Extemporaneous speaking has 2 categories, foreign, or FX, and domestic, or DX. In both events, the competitor prepares a speech no longer than 7 minutes based on the question they receive right there, hence the name extemporaneous. Each person has 30 minutes to prepare their speech before they give it to you. In FX and DX, you should expect to see students citing sources, having a definite answer, and speaking confidently.
Prose, poetry, and program oral interpretation, or POI, are events that allow the students to utilize binders. In prose, you should expect to see the competitor read a short story, parts of a novel, or other published works of prose with a time limit of 7 minutes. In poetry, you should expect to see the student reading a single piece of poetry, or a combination of multiple poems that flow together, also with a time limit of 7 minutes. Finally, in POI, the student utilizes a combination of prose, poetry, and drama to construct a program up to 10 minutes using at least 2 out of the 3 genres. All 3 events should include an introduction, and the forensicator should not use any prompts.
Original oration is a speech no longer than 10 minutes in length. The speaker should be trying to persuade you of something. For example, a student may try to convince you that you should be more confident in your everyday life. This solo speech should be memorized and no props should be used.
There are 2 forms of informative speaking, Info 7 and Info 10. The goal of an informative speech is to tell the judge about a topic. Unlike in oration, the student will not be trying to persuade the judge of anything, but merely informing them. Essentially, they attempt to answer the question, what is blank? Info 7 speeches are no longer than 7 minutes and no props are to be used. Info 10, on the other hand, are speeches no longer than 10 minutes. In Info 10, students are allowed to use 1 prop.
Public forum debate, or PFD, involves opposing teams of 2, debating about a topic which, in our case, is asking whether the U.S. should withdraw its military presence in Okinawa. Preceding a coin toss, the winners choose which side to debate, pro or con, or which speaker position they prefer, first or second. You should expect to see the students presenting their cases, engage in rebuttal or refutation, and also participate in a crossfire, where each team is allowed to question the opposing team.
Congressional debate, or Congress, is an event where students from multiple schools compete in a simulation of the U.S. legislative process in either the Senate or the House. These competitors alternate giving 3-minute speeches for or against the specific bill. where an elected presiding officer, also a student, ensures that the session runs smoothly.
Lincoln-Douglas debate, or LD, involves a one-on-one format where students debate a topic, in this case, whether the U.S. ought to promote democracy in the Middle East. An entire debate is roughly 45 minutes and consists of constructive speeches, rebuttals, and cross-examination. Students may consult already gathered evidence, but may not access the internet during the round.
Impromptu is a solo event in which each student will give a speech based on the topic they draw. Each round has a theme, and they'll draw 3 topics, pick one, and step outside, with 5 minutes to prepare. Then, they'll come in and give you a 5-minute speech on that topic.
Once again, I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to judge for us, and I want you to remember not to stress about any of this, because at the end of the round, if you decided a student was the best in the round and you gave them the 1, then you are absolutely correct. You cannot possibly be wrong about that. If you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to email me at jwmoore@usd497.org. Free State Forensics rules.